Look, when I heard that DSG was joining the LTA, I was pretty excited.
Holding the LTA North promotion slot, give a toast to Disguise!
Disguise came in and really reinvigorated the league. You know, when you have the GM of the championship-winning organization in FlyQuest and Andrew Barton saying Disguise might have been the second best team behind the scenes as they were the team actively helping them prep for their championship run, I think that speaks a lot of praise to what Coach Ido and what those 5 guys have been able to do and all the help they've had behind the scenes.
Split 1 was depressing. Like, you just got into the league and then instantly depressed. And then you go into Split 2 and you're like, okay, is it really hopeless? We don't know what's going on. You have to like change up players. The coaching staff changes. Are we on the right direction? Split 3 was a question mark up until the end of the pick and play phase and then the playoffs, and you really got to see the team flourish. And now you're at the point in which you could see them qualify for the LCS. You have to be excited. There's no reason to doubt them at this point.
I think I actually had slightly higher hopes for the beginning of it, because for Split 1 and Split 2, we were really bad performance-wise. If you look at our score, it was like 1-17. You expect a new org, like the org spending the least amount of money, to be near the bottom or at the bottom, but I think 1-17 was much lower than even I was expecting.
DSG as a team is not going to have the same funding as every other organization, like as a Team Liquid or a Cloud9. If you see teams with literally like a team of coaches, if you have somebody that's in tier 2 coming up, you're like, well, that person needs individual coaching to be able to catch up with the fundamentals. But DSG doesn't have that. So it's like you're working with a handicap. Was it a fluke? It's always like a yes and no. Like if it was a best of 3, would they have won that best of 3? In my mind, no.
A bit of it, I mean, it was relief. I remember pinging Jerry and just being like, congrats, man. Like, I'm glad you got one. But I also know behind the scenes that by the time they won, Disguise were kind of talking or fishing around to see if they could make changes or should make changes. And winning that game, it was nice for the team to win, but I still knew the change was coming for Disguise.
We ended up making a change after Split 2. And looking back, I think it would have just been way better to make a change after Split 1, but we wanted to give the team a chance to bond, gel. It just didn't work.
My initial thought on the changes to the team was like, this is actually insane. It was very good. It was very good. It's funny because there's a personal tie to it because I know Ido from way back, but a lot of players loved working with Ido. And I was like, okay, that's insane. First of all, I didn't know you're still coaching. That's me being a bad friend and not checking in on people. You know, he was somebody that already kind of had the respect. Now, he didn't have the tier 1 coaching experience, but he was already had somebody that commanded respect from players. So that was a +1. And the other big plus was Rahel coming in. Now, when I see Rahel being an addition for Disguise, I was like, how does this happen?
We've seen Rahel be successful in the LCK Challengers League, in LEC. I'm not surprised at all that Rahel was good.
Rahel, when he joined, was very good. No one wanted Rahel, and no one wanted to pick him up. DSG got him up. And then for Darkwings, I was unsure of. Like, you had a lot of really good mid laners that could get in. And of course, the current climate in North America and Europe is that, oh, we have to get a Korean LCK or LCK CL import for mid lane specifically. So Darkwings, it felt like he had a lot to prove. I didn't know what to expect from him. This is a big opportunity for Darkwings. Let's see how he performs and let's see if Disguise can be a competitive team. Darkwings, I feel like just goes above and beyond in how he proves people wrong.
Darkwings being good, I was a little bit surprised about. I've seen Darkwings be, I think, somewhat slept on or more successful than where people had him. Seeing him be successful in this has been a really cool, and for me, one of the bigger stories in all of this. Whenever Disguise goes up against Dignitas, I always kind of pay attention because it's 2 lower tier yellow LTA teams. You know, eXyu used to be on Dignitas. There was some chatter between the org and the player about them beating them in Split 1 because eXyu thought he found the better yellow team. Part of the win against TL in Split 2 was that it was after they lost to Dignitas, and losing to Dignitas for Disguise is kind of like, okay, that might have been the final straw. We might need to see changes now. Whereas, you know, when you play Dig this time around, it's like, okay, did the changes work?
The high came from a first series win against Dignitas.
I think personally it was the first win into Dig.
It was the Dignitas series where it felt like you were getting to see the best out of Disguised, where you get to see what they were working on as a team, the fundamentals that they really had. And I remember that series a lot because that also hosted a hilarious Otacon play where Dig had an advantage, a major advantage, but then they had completely thrown it, and like eXyu ended up finding a way to steal Otacon.
Yes! Yes! Dignitas throws an objective for the millionth time in gaming history!
I was like, what is going on? It was like it was a fiesta, but these guys were just a bit better. They had just won 2-1. So I was like, okay, this is a team that is now showing that they're better than Dignitas, but now they have to face them again in the playoffs. And I think that one was a lot more decisive. That was like a 3-1, far more decisive series for Disguise. So anyone that was saying that Disguise wasn't improving were immediately shown to be wrong.
The Dignitas win at that point was kind of expected, the 3-1, but going to 5 against C9 was not. And I mean, I remember that one because I was watching, and I think Disguised ended up taking game 3, and then it was the eXyu Silas game in game 4. It was a really good draft for Silas, and eXyu just destroyed the game on the pick. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, now we're against a game 5 in C9 as Disguised. There's this crazy world now where if Disguised wins, they end up being top 4. There's a chance they could play legitimately for LTA finals, but still they would always be playing for this promotion relegation spot. It really was kind of bittersweet because
winning a best of 1 like we did against Team Liquid, like it's great and everyone's happy, but in those situations, people more just flame Team Liquid than, you know, praise DSG. It's like, oh, they screwed up to lose to the worst team ever. It wasn't until we started winning like our first series that people was like, okay, DSG is not the worst team. And taking Cloud9 to 5 games, like, oh, DSG might not be the second worst team either.
it felt to me like Disguise was actually one of the better teams in the league. Like, this wasn't a lower tier team that everyone was waiting to beat up upon and be a scheduled win in the league. This was a team that could be competitive with the teams in the middle of the pack, and then we're challenging teams like C9 that were viewed as favorites to play to go to Worlds.
Being able to take Cloud9, one of the top teams, to a Game 5, I think made people look at us a little differently. It's like, oh, maybe this idea of 5 guys who just believe in a system, who's working really hard, who has a lot to prove, can overcome like these multi-million-dollar budgets, teams that have been together for years. So it felt really good. I was really happy.
So we took a couple days off after our loss to C9, but then we went right back to scrimming because the LCS teams were still scrimming, and we figured that we need to take advantage while they're still here. And luckily the regional finals was in NA2, so we got the pleasure of scrimming some of the Brazilian teams too. Our practice has been pretty high quality in terms of opponents.
Yeah, we've been scrimming every day. Our practice quality is pretty good. Now we're like getting actually the point we're just for sure winning the relegation team.
And then after that, the finals will be in Mexico City.
So I was casting the series between Disguise and Astral, and the night before, I was trying to play a game of League. Kangas, one of the LTA casters, he has a bet to hit Diamond by the end of the month, so of course he needed help dueling. So we hop in a game, we win, we hop in a second, and we DC. We cannot play the game. We're like, what's going on, right? Turns out League servers are getting DDoS, like everyone from LA is disconnecting, right? It's like, all right, well, we're done with League for the night. I did not think about this going into my next day of casting. Show up to the next day of casting, there's a pause or two. I had talked with Disguise before. I knew that they were having a couple issues with like connecting with Discord in their boot camp. So I was like, okay, it's probably just that, or like just latency being remote, it's fine. We go into a break, it's a 10-minute timer, okay. Another 10-minute timer, we check Twitter. Drew Levin's like, we're getting DDoS. It's like, oh God. So what ends up happening is one of the weirder days of competitive that I have ever had. I think that we ended up playing 3 games in the span of 6.5 hours on the stream. There were so many pauses, the longest of which was in over an hour. And overall, I mean, I can only imagine the impact that has on the teams. Like, you are signing up to play incredibly competitive games, playing literally for your job in this tournament. And you cannot play the game for more than 5 minutes without DDoSing, in which you have no control over your character. It's very stressful. The minute that happens, like, you want to get out of the game, it's very difficult. I can only imagine the stress that compounded upon the players. During one of the pauses, they had player cams. You know, we're flipping through the cams in one of the pauses, and I see in the background of one, a player going through a YouTube VOD. Now, I never coached at the highest level, but I've done a lot of VOD reviews during my time. I'm pretty familiar with what it looks like to scrub VOD. And I could see in the background that someone was scrubbing a VOD. And from my time as a coach, that's a big no-no. Because when you go through the broadcast VOD, you have vision, like full information of timers, ward timers, vision they might have that you don't get going through your point of view and perspective. Yeah, I saw that on the broadcast in the background of a player cam. I pointed it out as like, hey, it looks like someone's scrubbing a VOD in the back. That's interesting. We communicated that with the league, ended up being communicated with Riot, and turns out at the end of the day, by the end of the day, the matches were paused because of the DDoSing issues after Game 3, but also for Game 4, Summit wouldn't be available, and it turns out in the end he wouldn't be available for the rest of the tournament, given that he was looking at a broadcast VOD. So yeah, that was definitely added and compounded on what was already a rather weird and interesting day. LG versus Disguised. I think going into the tournament, I would have been very surprised if the upper bracket finals and the grand finals were not LG versus Disguised. And that is what ended up happening. I think going into the finals, though, I predicted Disguised 3-1, as they looked like the better team. Luminosity Gaming season is on the line. They end up picking AP Kog'Maw mid. Fast forward to the middle of the game. The Kog'Maw does 1,000,000 damage. He pretty much takes Rahel and Huhi out of the fight by himself.
Flash from eXyu, looking for the impale on the two members, drags it right into the mega vertical. Big shutdown on the tactical, but thank God answers back with an R into the wall. Darkwings is destroyed. Rahel forced to flash away. Can he kite this one out? But he has to sidestep everything. He has to go big alongside Castle, who is the only frontline member left for DSG. Redemption comes through, gives a little bit of healing back, but Rahel can't even step in it because the threat of Insanity's Kog'Maw is forcing him away.
Ends up being Baron going over to Luminosity Gaming, and they're pushing to, hopefully, in their case, end the game and take us through Game 5. And what happens later on is that Insanity, realizing, he had to continue to be defensive, he built a Banshee's Veil. So that means that he has to eat an ability before he can actually, take an ability BCC'd and be shut down. Him and Tactical were too far up around the red wall. eXyu found him, and eXyu found the engage of the tournament. He smites the Banshee's Veil off Insanity.
They got eXyu with the Insanity impale. They got vertical over the top. They got both of the carries. DSG eliminate the artillery from Luminosity Gaming's backline. And now it's Tomio trying to cut off the wave. But DSG might just try and push this one to the brink. eXyu tries to slam into the wall. That's the first kill. That's the first reset. Rahel. Now look at Insanity. Flash shot. He got Insanity. He's looking for seasonal decks. Tactical Tomio can't do anything about it. Rahel is undeterred. And the world is at his fingertips. DSG finished the culmination of one 2025 season in victory. Welcome, Disguise, to LCS 2026.
I mean, look, when it comes to Disguised, I think it's awesome that this team was able to promote back in. I'm not sure if we're going to see all 5 or, all 6 even with Coach Ido run it back. You never know what the offseason brings and what opportunities some of those players could have. I think that if Disguised as 5 did run it back, that is a group of people that overcame a stress, a challenge that is very difficult to overcome in promotion relegation. And ultimately, you're signing up to do that project again, right? So if they want to do it again, more power to them. But yeah, I want to see at least the majority get run back. And I think that if all 5 get run back, I think it's going to make a lot of happy fans, which speaks to the group and what they were able to do.
Castle was our most consistent player. Never raged, even in split 1, split 2 with what is a very dysfunctional team, he kept his cool. And I think some people in his position would have started raging or running it down because he was what felt like the only consistent person. But he kept his cool the whole time. It's just a consistent player. And Isaac Darkwings coming in mid-season as kind of a newcomer. but being able to hold his own against some of the best players in the league was like, I was really glad to see that, because I think he could have easily just choked everything. And no one would be surprised as this unseasoned player. Just a big thank you to all the players. I mean, it's funny because this was our first year in the LTA, but also technically the only year in our LTA. So in the LTA legacy, you know, it's a great place to establish our name. To have a struggle year, since it technically doesn't count. Like tomorrow will be our first year in the LCS. So let's act like last year didn't happen. Not because last year was horrible or anything, but if we can go into the LCS and make it to Worlds in our quote-unquote first year, I think that's a much cooler storyline. Obviously, a huge thank you to all the players, all the staff. I know everyone is here because they believe in DSG and they believe in esports as a whole. Yeah, I'm super indebted to them because of the time and the effort they put into something that might not ever like come to fruition, but we all have this belief that esports is cool and can be sustainable one day, and we have to be really responsible on how we approach it. I hope when we look back on our first year in the LTA, this is like a moment where we can say, oh wow, things were really rough back then, but people still cared, people still really tried their best. And I'm just really hoping things can work out in the future and everyone in the industry can figure out how to make esports work. But I've enjoyed every moment this year. All the good, all the bad. I mean, that's the fun thing about esports.